The glass shattered before she even threw the rock. My dogs hit that window like thunder, and when the floodlights lit her up in the middle of my yard, tracksuit orange blazing mouth frozen in shock, I realized the war was finally over. That was the night Karen Hernandez learned what happens when you push someone too far. When I first moved into that quiet suburban neighborhood, I thought I'd finally made it. My own house, a small yard, a front porch where I could drink coffee in peace. That dream lasted about 30 seconds, exactly how long it took for her to march onto my lawn. She didn't say welcome or need help moving. She squinted at me and said, "Are you the new gardener? Because I don't recall hiring anyone to mow the lawn." I just stood there holding a box of books thinking maybe she was joking. She wasn't. She looked at me like my very presence was an eyesore she needed to report. I gave her a polite smile, told her I was the new owner. She repeated the word owner like it tasted bad. That was my introduction to the HOA Queen of Willow Bend. At first I tried to laugh it off. Every neighborhood has a cranky old lady. Right, I figured if I waved, smiled, kept my lawn trimmed, she'd eventually get bored. I was so wrong. Within 2 weeks, the surveillance began. Every time I stepped outside, she was there pretending to sweep an already spotless porch, trimming imaginary weeds, staring from behind her blinds. And then came the first real shot, the rock. I was hanging my TV when the window exploded, shards of glass raining over the floor. I caught a flash of orange darting behind her door. I called the cops, still shaking, expecting justice. They arrived 45 minutes later, looked at the window, looked at me, then went to talk to her. From my broken window, I saw her smiling, probably offering them cookies. When they came back, the older one sighed. She says she was napping. You didn't actually see her throw it right, just like that. They left me standing there, broken glass rock on the floor, and a message written loud and clear. You're on your own. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made my stomach twist. I kept replaying the sound of the glass breaking that flash of orange. I felt violated, not just because she broke something I owned, but because the system didn't care. I started wondering if moving here had been a mistake. Then, I decided if no one else was going to protect me, I'd protect myself. I adopted 2 Rottweilers from a rescue shelter, Chaos and Mayhem. Big, gentle giants with eyes that said they'd take a bullet for me. When I brought them home, it felt like breathing again. The next morning, I saw her watching through her window. Chaos gave one deep, rumbling bark, and I swear I saw her flinch. For a few weeks, the street was calm. I let myself believe it was over. But people like her don't stop, they reload. The letters from the HOA started showing up. Official, letterhead fancy wording accusations that bordered on insanity. Your lawn exceeds maximum height. Trash bins placed too early. Welcome matte color not approved. Each came with a photo, sometimes with a ruler or a digital watch in frame. She was crawling around my property at night taking pictures. I tried to laugh, but it wore me down. Every time the mailman came, I felt a pit in my stomach. And then she went after the dogs. Bits of meat started appearing by the fence. Old chicken wings, greasy scraps. Poison bait, I didn't know. I just knew I couldn't risk it. Animal control came one day saying they'd received multiple anonymous complaints about vicious barking. I let the officer in. The dogs barely looked up from their nap. She looked at me and said, "Get cameras. You need proof." That night, I stayed up researching security systems. I ordered the best I could afford, motion sensors, night vision full coverage. I installed everything myself, camera by camera, while Hernandez glared from across the street. Let her watch. I wanted her to. For a month, things went quiet. I thought maybe the cameras scared her off until the city inspector showed up. We received a complaint about an unpermitted structure, he said, pointing to my doghouse. Apparently, anything over a certain size needed a permit. My doghouse was 3 inches too big. I had to dismantle it or face fines. I knew exactly who had called. That night, while taking it apart under the porch light, I felt something inside me harden. She wanted to break me, but she'd just built my resolve. I started planning. If she loved rules and reports so much, I'd give her a show worth reporting. I replaced my living room window with a special pane of sugar glass, the kind they use in movies. Looked real shattered safely. Then I trained chaos and mayhem. The command was simple. Window, they'd charge bark and slam their paws on the sill, stopping just short of breaking through. We practiced until they had it perfect. Then I waited. One Friday, I packed my car in full view of her house, talking loudly on the phone about a weekend camping trip. No signal, no service. I waved, smiled, drove off, and parked 2 blocks away. I walked back under cover of dark, slipped into my house, and sat in the kitchen with my tablet showing all the camera feeds. The stage was set. The bait was her favorite, my supposed absence. Hours passed. Then just after 10, I saw her door open on the birdhouse cam. There she was, orange tracksuit, clutching a rock like it was holy scripture. She crept across the street, scanning for witnesses, and stepped onto my lawn. My heart pounded. I watched her lift the rock muscles tightening for the throw. I whispered, "Window." The dogs exploded into action, thundering paws, snarls, the crash of the sugar glass as it shattered outward. It sounded like the world ending. She screamed a raw, piercing sound that could wake the dead, stumbling backward onto the grass. I hit the floodlights. The yard lit up like a stadium. There she was, flat on her back, face white as chalk, staring at 2 massive Rottweilers framed in the jagged window. They didn't move past the line, they just stood there, barking like the gates of hell. I walked out slowly, coffee mug in hand, calm as a Sunday morning. "Evening," I said. "Lose something." She stammered. "Your dogs. They attacked me. They broke the window." I almost laughed. "Attack you from inside my house, with you on my lawn, holding that rock?" "Don't worry, the cameras caught everything. 4K, multiple angles. Should be great evidence for me." Right on cue, sirens. The same 2 officers from before pulled up, lights flashing. They saw me standing calmly on my porch, coffee in hand, dogs behind me. They saw her filthy and shaking on the grass. The older cop asked, "What in the world happened?" She shouted. "He sent his dogs after me. They tried to kill me. I didn't even bother answering. I just pointed at the cameras. You might want to see the footage before you take statements." We played the video on my tablet. Her sneaking across the street. Her raising the rock. The window shattering before she even threw. The look on their faces said it all. The mustached officer turned to her, his voice flat. "Ma'am, we've seen enough. Put your hands behind your back." The sound of those handcuffs clicking was the sweetest sound I've ever heard. Neighbors peeked out of their windows. The woman who'd once run every committee won every garden award, now being led away in cuffs. Her husband came running out bewildered. "What happened?" he asked. She glared at him, screaming, "This is your fault! You never stand up for me!" He shrank into himself, silent. Watching them, I felt not anger, just pity. A week later, a for sale sign went up on their lawn. The HOA sent me a formal apology, dismissed every complaint she'd ever filed, even offered to pay for my landscaping repairs. The police filed charges, vandalism, false reports, and a hate crime enhancement. She was finished. But that's not the moment that stayed with me. What stayed was the silence afterward. Real silence. The kind that feels clean. For the first time, I sat on my porch and just listened to the night breeze, the soft breathing of my dogs at my feet. I realized the real victory wasn't the arrest or the apology or the looks from my neighbors. It was that peace. She lost everything trying to control everyone. I almost lost myself trying to survive her. But in the end, she taught me something I'll never forget: when people like that come for your peace, you don't beg for it back. You take it.